All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is your brother from another mother, the Blakester, with another Monday episode, our Monday Mastermind. Really excited to see everybody. Hopefully, you guys had a fantastic weekend. I've got some fun stuff for you guys today, as always. Oh, there's Vicky, if you would let her in. We are on, let me check, just double check. Got a lot of stuff running in the background here. So, of course, it's going to move slowly. Bear with me a second here, guys. Probably should have closed out these programs I was working on. Anyway, we're into week 39. Week 39. Woo! Time is flying by. For those of you that don't know, we do this every Monday, 12 Eastern Standard Time. Hi, Vicky. Appreciate you popping in. Today, we're going to be talking about storytelling. We're going to give a few tips and tricks. And I'm actually contemplating once this is all done and recording, I think I'm going to actually put this up on YouTube. Part of that is, moving along with what we've been talking about as far as branding and all that fun stuff. I've realized this morning, I was like, man, we're doing all these things and it's free to the public. People can come in here. We just have it as a private group on Facebook so that you don't have a bunch of crazy people coming in there trying to spam or whatever. But I want to put these up so that we can potentially give some value out there in the marketplace and maybe attract a few more smart leaders and smart-minded people that want to come have masterminds with us, right? But today we are going to tell a little bit about storytelling. We're going to give some tips and tricks, some pointers, going to ask a few questions, and we're going to make storytelling just powerful, right? So, but before we get started, every week that we do this, we like to kind of dip into the audience and find out how their last week was, find out what their wins are, so to speak. Because part of this whole Monday thing is to kind of get rid of whatever happened last week, celebrate the good things, and then focus and move forward for this week. So, anybody got any wins that they want to share with us? Start everything off. Brett, go ahead, brother. Unmute yourself.
All right, I'm celebrating. I've gotten a little more clarity around my public speaking career launching. I've got a 12-week plan that I got from a friend, and
Hey,
so I got that last week, and I'm already into week three. So um, I'm just tearing it up, And also, like, I attended a men's retreat weekend, and it was super powerful on an emotional level for me. And just coming off of that high.
where was that at, by the way? You sent me a picture, but I didn't know where you were. Where
Yeah,
was
that's Almond, Wisconsin, central Wisconsin.
right on? Looked really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty scenic. Yeah, it's good. It's a fun experience, and just a kind of an emotional review of um, life, sort of. So it's pretty deep.
What was the thing that you loved the best about it?
The ability I had to serve, because I was my role was working in the kitchen, so I helped prepare meals for 50 men,
Right on.
um, and I got to serve at a high level and just do the best I can to keep up with the schedule.
Sweet.
So
Had you ever done any kitchen work before?
a little bit,
Right
a little
on.
here and there.
Well, good. At least you had some kind of experience that could help you through that.
Yeah, I signed up to be a dishwasher. I figured I could do that job and really get into a flow, and it really worked out for me.
Right on. Anything else you want to share about that experience? And
Oh, there's a lot I could share, but this probably isn't the proper place to do it. But it's
I understand. Any
yeah.
other
So what do you say?
any other wins?
Um, well, just taking some significant action on posting some posts with NowSite and just kind of getting getting better and better at using that and just getting happier with my investment here. So
Hey, good, good. Well, we appreciate you sharing, and we're happy that you're here, especially live.
yeah, Thank
It's
you.
always more fun live.
Yeah.
It's on the recording, but appreciate you, Brett. And have you started working on your speech for us?
I have ideas. Like I could do something today off the cuff for you for 5 minutes if you wanted.
Okay.
And we could do that at a point that might make sense for you or whatever. I mean, that's
Do you
just an offering.
feel do you feel you're ready to take 5 minutes of the stage?
Sure.
Okay. Hold off on that. And if you would, Keisha, since you're my co-host, bring me back around to that before we end. Okay. So that we give him 5 minutes to do his.
No problem.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to it. Keisha, guess who wins? You ready to spill the tea? Oh, you muted
My
yourself.
mic kept moving. I do have some wins. So I was made part of my the leadership team on one of the teams that I'm on because I've been helping folks that were like having a hard time catching up with the rest of us because that team moves relatively quickly when it comes to now site and its abilities and just marketing in general. So that was a pretty big compliment. And then I have a young lady that I'm working with who is learning to read as an adult. And she was able to post every day and get her stuff done. And, so that's been incredible to watch and watching her confidence come alive with that.
I love it.
And I've created so many videos. You're about to see them all drop in over the next couple of days
I
for
love
Legal Shield and Now Site, just one after the other. As a matter of fact, I'm right now in CapCut taking three of the Now Site videos and chopping them up into one smaller
love it.
Now Site video to use as a presentation.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I
Man.
actually took just at first I was leaving Justin's voice in and I just sped him up a little bit, but I think I'm gonna kill the voice altogether. But I dropped in some music tracks in the background.
Yeah.
So just to liven it up a little bit, so it's not like you're staring at the screen waiting for the next word.
Right. Right. I love it. I
So
love it.
I've been having some
Well,
fun with that.
I'm glad that you got recognized. Look, it's no, I'll say this publicly. I'm not afraid to say this publicly for sure. Ever since you and I met, I knew you were a leader. Like you just fallen into place. So it's good to see you falling into your leadership, which is
Thank
realistic
you for
what
saying
this
that.
Monday Mastermind has been all about. For those that might be watching this on the replay of the first time, creating this group, I want to say about 2 years ago, if not a little bit longer. And it was in an effort to be able to have some collaboration and help people get from that job to being able to have time freedom and working from home full time. So it was really nice to see you flourish since we have met. It hasn't even been that long, but I know you're a leader and I'm glad that they're recognizing you. So that's great. Brent, did you have
Thank
something
you.
you wanted to add real quick?
No, I was just agreeing with what you were saying.
Yeah. You familiar with Keisha making her moves in the background there? No, she's good, man. She's a leader, so that's a beautiful thing.
Very nice.
Thank you for sharing, Keisha. Vicky, what you got, my friend? Hard stop 150.
Well, let's see, it's still saying hand raised. Okay. You already know, but I made a gold drink for one of my teams. And
Yeah.
then, that was very exciting because it took a while to do that. And then, I was also made a leader on one of the other teams. So I'm pretty happy about that. So,
Ooh,
and so it's just been a really good, exciting and motivating week all the way around. So that's really great. That's what I needed, and it's gonna help me keep going with everything else. So
yay, good stuff. Congratulations. Look, I'll say just that, how I work, things pop up into my head. When it comes to leadership, I'm obviously not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the best leader in the world, right? No one could do that. But leadership is something that you progress towards, right? And little by little, you get better, best. Never let it rest till you get as better and your better as best.
Hmm.
And just continually strive to get better. That's really what it's all about. When we look at the network marketing industry, a lot of people think it's about pitching and selling, and it's not. It's really about becoming the leader that you can be and, being that person that people actually want to follow, right? How can you go and create these relationships to where you make people feel fulfilled and want to be around you? So kudos to you, my friend, on all the things that you've gone through, because we personally know those things, with the challenges of not even having your laptop and all that other stuff and the hurricanes. And here's Vicky. She's still over there sweet. So I love it, Vicky. Thank you for sharing,
If
girl.
nothing else, I'm resilient.
That's it. It takes some resiliency, especially in this marketplace. So
Hmm.
congrats on all your recent success, my friend. Keep
Thank you.
it up. Lawrence, did you have anything you wanted to share, brother?
It's been a quiet week, not really, except for I've been studying my clients' offerings so that I could better serve him. I'm studying tokenization right now.
Right on.
They say tokenization is gonna be like 100 times bigger than Bitcoin capitalization. So they're gonna use tokenization to bring in Internet of things.
Did you ever connect with our buddy Jack Pickering?
Oh God, I sure didn't.
Connect with
Shame
him.
on me. Oh, I tried, but I couldn't find him. Jack, say it again.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. I'll get you connected for sure. Hold on. Yeah, because he's probably your guy to chat to, and I'm gonna
I'm sure you're right.
you use my name, tell him where you're from, all that fun stuff. I put him in the chat there.
All right.
So if you click on his
Okay. Thank you.
chat, you should be able to open right up. And then if you're not friends with him, connect with him.
Okay.
Tell him the
Great.
Blakes sent you, you know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, brother. Very welcome. In fact, I probably need to reach out to him, put him in my rotations of remembrance. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've talked to him. So but yeah, reach out to him, buddy. See what you guys can come up with and educate yourselves and stuff. I have been hearing a lot of stuff about Bitcoin lately. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards it just because of all the things that we see and the signs. And I made some money in Bitcoin back when it first started, but then I looked at it like it's still a fiat type currency, and I'm still more of a fan of the whole gold and silver. I'd rather be stacking gold and silver myself, but neither here nor there. Still some good stuff to be looking into. And you know, kind of like AI, Bitcoin and those things are here and they're not going anywhere either. So, get with the right professionals, make sure that you make educated decisions before you put any money into anything. And obviously don't risk anything that you can't afford to lose. So that's my little disclaimer there.
Well, I'm not into Bitcoin either as far as investing,
Right.
but tokenization is a different animal. I mean,
Right.
it's like you can tokenization an ant,
Mhm.
you know, and so that's what I'm really concerned with is that I want to learn what that is all about.
Right. That and the blockchain itself. I mean, it's pretty interesting stuff if you sit down and take the time to understand it. It's
Yeah,
definitely,
like smart contract. That's really kind of cool.
yeah. Yeah. But the smart contracts, even on that stuff, I've noticed, and I've recently saw a very educational video about that, and a lot of people ended up doing things like short sales, which is kind of what screws the whole thing up. And when you dig down that rabbit hole, it gets pretty greedy. So
Hmm.
kind of crazy stuff. But anyway, Yeah, definitely make informed, educated decisions before you part ways with your money.
But a long time ago, I did a, what do you call it? Averaging. I was buying Bitcoin, and it automatically, what is that called? When you just cost
Average down.
well, like you put, it's a technique where you just buy constantly,
Yeah,
uh, cost averaging or something like that. And I actually made some money.
right, especially whenever it dips, right?
Hmm.
So whenever it dips, you buy. Whenever it dips, you buy, and then overall, your cost per acquisition or your cost per unit or whatever, however it's broken down, eventually becomes less, and then you wait for it to hit to a higher number and then sell. Yeah, you can
Hmm.
definitely do that way. Risky, but if you know what you're doing, you can make money. I know several people, friends of mine personally, Bob Beckett is one of them I would name. That guy
Hmm.
teaches people how to go and get how to get traders funded so that they're actually trading with other people's money.
Right on. Yeah, we have something like that also, like you leverage. But I'm really interested in arbitrage.
Yeah,
The cryptocurrency arbitrage, and arbitrage is supposed to be pretty safe. I don't know, so
well,
I'm gonna watch and see what happens.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, and that could be very, very good way to minimize risk.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let
Because
us know what you thought.
risk management is really a heck of a subject if you look deep into it. You
Yes,
got to consider governments and everything.
100%, brother. 100%. I mean, that's one of the top things to consider is risk management when you're going into things like that anyway. Right. So, but yeah, do keep us informed, brother. Let us know how things work out and obviously to share all of your wins for sure. All right. So we are going to, because I want to make sure we have time to listen to Brent. I think that he's got some cool information that he's working on in the background. Before we get into this, again, I want to preface this is week 39. We're going to be giving you guys a few tips and tricks about storytelling. So one thing that in the network marketing arena, I try to teach people is the two biggest things, shall we say, are to get really good at asking questions and then also telling stories. So before I dive into this, I kind of want to, get into a quick little story to tell you guys about. I don't know, anyone of you guys here animal lovers? Raise your hand. Yeah, most of us are, right? So there's all my life, realistically, for most of my life, shall I say, I was never a person that had animals, right? Like cats and dogs. And quite interestingly enough, it really happened from trauma back when I was a child. So I can remember vividly, even now at 55 years old, I can remember vividly out riding my tricycle, as it were, my big wheel. And I saw this white fluffy cat and it just looked so pretty. I wanted to pick it up. And I don't know, whether I was just being dumb or whatever the case was, but I just did not want to let the cat go because it was white and blue eyes. It was pretty. So I wanted to hold it. The cat did not want to be held, and it tried to get away from me while I was trying to hold it even tighter. Long story short was yeah, I got mauled by that cat. It just tore me up, clawed me, bit me. And I remember so much so that I even had to go to the doctor and I had to get a rabies shot, is what I recall it as. Like I had to go get a rabies shot. I'm not an animal, mom. And so because of that, that was one reason why I didn't have cats in my life for a long time. And then when it came to a dog, I remember specifically, I would want an animal, my dog or a dog specifically, and I would tell my mom. And back then, when we were growing up, she was single. We didn't have animals, and she would tell me, no, you can't have an animal. There are a lot of responsibility. They're just like kids. And the one time that she finally let me have an animal was a beautiful Irish setter. And she said, well, you can keep him, but he's going to be an outdoor dog, right? So we didn't have any kind of dog house or anything like that. So I decided, okay, well, there were center blocks in the backyard and there was an old mattress. So I decided I was going to at least build him some kind of shelter, you know? And long story short, the dog used the shelter that I built to jump over the fence and run away. And I never saw the dog ever again. Right. So here I am as a child again. This is all from trauma because as a child, I'm like, oh, my dog ran away, you know. My this cat mauled me and this dog ran away. So I never really had the experience or the want or anything like that because as growing up, I knew and understood that cats and animals and other fur babies like that were a responsibility. They're just like kids, right? So fast forward to let's say 4 years ago or so when I meet my wife, right? We get connected and I moved down to El Paso and I get there. Well, even before she'd already told me, introduced to a dog, four cats, and two parakeets. So the point of the story is I never had animals throughout my life because of the trauma that I had. And I'm a person that I love animals, but at the same time, I don't need those animals to feel complete. Can y'all resonate with that story, you know? Okay. So I told you that story for that purpose only. Did I keep you enthralled through the whole story? Right? All the way to the very end? Right. So this is the point that I'm trying to make. If you go and you utilize storytelling along with questions throughout your conversations when you're having these conversations with people, and I got a response back from Now Site. I'll let you know about that. When you do those types of things, you're able to connect more with your audience, right? So I believe we all connected, all of us here. We were like, oh yeah, I can understand it. Yeah, we are fur babies, and maybe one out of us, maybe you're like the same way. Maybe you went through life and you didn't have dogs or animals or cats. Anybody in that situation as well? Anybody, or did you guys all have dogs and cats growing up? You did? Okay. Vicky, how about you?
I had 6 dogs, 15 cats, and more fish than I can count.
Holy cow, that's a lot of
Yeah,
animals.
now I don't even want the responsibility of a
Okay,
goldfish. Don't bring
okay.
me nothing.
There you go. Okay, so there you go, talking about what I was kind of getting and alluding to, right? Once you know and you have that, right, there's two mindsets that happen with that. You can either be very accepting or we can say, hey, that's just a lot of trouble. But ultimately, as an animal owner, we have to accept that responsibility that we have it. And I'm only saying this because it's true, right? But it's my wife that gets very upset because she's such an animal lover when she goes on Facebook and all these other places and sees these animals that are just neglected or dropped off. And I have to remind her and myself, it's like, well, you're subjecting yourself to that by being a part of that group. It's going to be part of it. It's going to happen. But ultimately, we're still going back to and talking about how to be relative and using storytelling to get your point across, right? So it could be about dogs, cats, it could be about animals, it could be about past experiences. It can even be about personal things that have happened with specific products, right? As a quick example, I always talk about health and wellness quite a bit because that's something that I was in back in the past. It's not something that I'm very passionate about today because of the things that I've learned of over the course of my tenure. But if somebody comes to me and they start preaching the health and wellness thing, I already have enough knowledge that I can kind of combat that or whatever. And I can combat that by telling my story, right? Here's what I learned back in the day, blah, 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 blah. And they may or may not try to come back with objections. You know, it just depends on how good they are at listening. And if you say something that might trigger that. But the point is, is the importance of storytelling, number one. Okay, we're gonna say three things about each one of these things. Number one, it's a building an emotional connection. Okay, so if you're taking notes, write that down. The importance of storytelling is number one, it builds an emotional connection. Secondly, what it does is it's going to simplify complex messages. So versus me trying to make it complex about why I went through life without a cat or dog, I can tell a story and it's relatable, builds that emotional connection with the other person. And as long as I tell that story so it is relatable, there's an automatic connection there just based off of the story and how I tell it. The third thing that it does is it inspires trust and action. Okay. Now, the only way it's going to provide the action, though, is if you tell the story so that it's gainfully beneficial for that other person in such a way that would make them want to take action. It's not pushing, it's not forcing. I go back to what I tell you guys at the very beginning. A sale is nothing more than transference of emotions. So you're transferring that emotion onto that person without being pushy, without being selly, right? You're just giving them the information. Maybe it's telling that story and then telling them how they can take the appropriate action. Okay. So that's the importance of storytelling, especially in network marketing. So the second thing I want to briefly talk about is crafting your personal story. So not only will you have stories like what I just mentioned, and that is a personal story to me, but you may want to have your own storytelling for your own personal story. I believe that it's very important. This is something that we used to talk about or have talked about in our 5-day boot camps. Part of the reason why we talk about this is really what it's called is your hero story. Write that down. Okay. So your hero story can go into what we call a hero funnel. Typically going to be 3 pages. It'll have you on the front and it'll have your video talking about how these things transpired in your life. Maybe a button at the bottom. You click the button, that takes you to a second page with another video. That's more of an explainer video that will do all the selling for you with a button at the bottom of that for them to join. Now, they're only going to join because of your story. You understand this, okay? People don't join businesses, they join people. So if you're able to tell your story in such a way that resonates with the viewer and they can see themselves in your eyes, your shoes, that kind of thing, like, hey, if this worked for them, why can't it work for me? Then they're more, it's better off in their mind that they might take action. Okay. So number 2, when it comes to crafting your personal story, the first thing I want to mention that you're taking notes is identifying your why. Very important. Why is it that you're telling that story to begin with? Right? Maybe it's because of the success that I had. I want to share that message with other people that were in a similar situation that I am. Okay. So that's number 1 is identifying your why. Number 2 is going to be making it relatable and genuine. So craft your story in such a way that people can relate to it and obviously keep your genuine authenticity involved in it. And then number 3, connect it to your audience needs, right? So to tie these things together so we understand each other. We always talk about not going out there pitching and selling just to sell stuff, right? If you're talking to people that have what you need, it's going to be a lot easier for them to say yes. You don't have to hunt them down, right? All you're doing is giving them the information that they need to make an informed decision. The best way to close a customer is what? To let them close themselves, right? So if you identify your why within that personal story video and you make it relatable and genuine and you connect it to your audience needs, Now what you've done is you've created that video, aka clone, that you can now put into a funnel or system that now does the work for you. Whoa, I got a goosebump on that one. Maybe we might have an aha moment on that one, right? So now when somebody asks for information, what are you doing? You're sending them a link that has your video on there with you doing all the talking already done so that you don't have to explain yourself over and over and over and over and over. This is what I mean when you guys hear me talk about creating your systems. Now it's conversations and then just pointing them in the right direction. Doesn't have to be complicated when it comes to network marketing. It's just understanding all these little bits of things that we teach, right? And then incorporating them the right way. Okay? So the third topic that we're going to talk about is incorporating stories into presentations. So if I'm going to go and do a presentation, many times I will do what I can to incorporate a story. If I need to incorporate a story, and some of you guys may have seen me do this, I will incorporate somebody in the audience, or I'll grab the audience's attention, somebody in the audience, ask them a little bit about their story, and then I'll craft the demonstration around what they need to see specifically. Just like what I just highlighted in number 2 that we were talking about. Connecting everything as far as the demo to whatever my audience needs, which is the person that's watching it. Okay. So when you're incorporating stories into presentations, number 1, you want to start with an engaging story. What did I do before we started? I gave an engaging story, right? Number 2, use stories to highlight success. Number 3, transition smoothly into your business pitch. Now, what I want to say with this, as we're taking notes so that we're all in alignment, we're putting the dots together like we always talk about and do, you must make sure that we all understand that before you transition into business, you need to change the customer state. That means that you need to get them to laugh. So, that being said, it would make the most sense that if in your story, you're relatable enough to where at the end of it, you say a joke, people laugh, ha 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 ha, you clear the slate, now you can switch right into business, right? It could be as simple as you made the joke, everybody laughs, but no, seriously, folks, let's talk about what's on the plate here. And immediately you could transition right into whatever business topic. And by doing that, you will have 100% of your audience's attention. Okay. So I know that's a lot to digest, but glad you took notes. All right. So, yeah, no worries, Keisha. I understand. So here's a couple questions I want to ask you guys so that we get a little engagement. And I'm not sure what happened to Lawrence. Oh, he said he had to leave. He left early. Do you have any personal stories that resonates more with your prospects that you can think of? What do I mean by that? Do you have any stories that you could tell your potential prospects about what you've already gone through? Brent, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself. Vicky, I see you nodding your head. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, I was having a tough time. I didn't like the way I was showing up in the world. I didn't like the way I was not able to keep my commitments and follow through on meeting people when I agreed to, or doing what I said I was going to do. I was having a real tough time mentally with depression and heavy emotions and life circumstances. And I've been fortunate in the last 5 years to make some connections with some meaningful people in my life that have supported me to help me have more brain function, to be able to have more autonomy and focus in my life. and more effectiveness in my life. Working with you, Robert, I've learned a lot about sales psychology and being able to communicate a message that is meaningful to my niche. And you guys here, this audience, this speech is for you. So I want to tailor it toward each of you here. I would encourage you, if you're marketing something with this software, to consider marketing yourself, especially yourself 5 years ago. Where were you 5 years ago, and what changes have you made in the last 5 years? How have you grown, and what have you learned along the way to get to the place you are now? Has your situation improved, or has it stayed the same, or has it even gotten worse? These are questions that I often ask myself, but the clear answer for me in the past 5 to 10 years is it's been a pretty solid upward trajectory. I'm really happy about the future and where I'm going. And I'm also happy about the relationships that I'm building, and also happier about the way I'm showing up in my relationships and able to keep my commitments, instead of being that guy that has so much trouble mentally just being able to keep up with life, just being able to have the quality of life that I desired but could never reach because I was in such a tough spot with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of different mental health disorders that people struggle with. And my niche is audiences that I want to market to, is audiences that have struggled with mental health disorders and struggled with difficulty in terms of focus. Because I feel like in the past 5 years, I've gotten a little more focus, and I've found some tools that are helping me be more effective, and so I can help that Brent from 2019 to have a little bit more clarity and easier time beating the learning curve than I had over the past 5 years. So that's my speech for you. Consider marketing yourself to yourself 5 years ago. Thank you.
I absolutely love that. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. And it's very true. A lot of us, as I mentioned before, we're taught backwards. We're taught to get involved in some of these things with the promise of making money, or this will solve this, or this will cure that. And as I mentioned before, it's not about that. It's all about how you can develop yourself into the best person that you could be. Right. So I gotta say kudos to you, Brent, for sharing that information. I absolutely appreciate that. I can resonate with it 100%, especially personally knowing you for a little while and knowing that you've been through those struggles and those challenges. For myself being military, I think I've mentioned this in a past episode. I've had people that have come to me that are military that are dealing with post-stress disorder, and me not really understanding it enough, I guess, but then still having a higher expectation for that person because they're in the military. And I guess what I'm saying is I shouldn't have done that. For me, I look at my mind and any kind of excuse, but that now understand I'm fast forwarded 10 to 15 years, if not more than that, on personal development, because it started back in 2001. So I've been on this journey for at least 25 years of personal development, right? But to me, it's really, there's so many things that you could do with your mind, from understanding what the issues are. We talk a lot about that and have talked a lot about this. Number one, if you're watching and taking notes, write this word down because we keep talking about it, is awareness, right? Many people go through life very, very, very unaware. And this is my personal observation, which I know that each and every one of you guys can relate to. Most people don't even pay attention to 1 foot around themselves, walking through public, with their nose in their phone and so on and so forth, right? But it's important for us to understand that awareness is the biggest thing. You can look at anything that's out there, whether it's a addiction to drugs or sex or whatever it is, there's no way that you're ever going to have any kind of resolution to that addiction without first having the awareness that you have the problem. Same thing with identifying whether or not you have PTSD or trauma or anxiety. I also want to mention and throw in too, right? Without going into too much detail, I had plenty of trauma in my life growing up. Um, from sexual molestation to people that were very close to me passing away. Um, and yes, I even know what depression is like. And I was in one of the deepest, darkest depressions that I could ever relate to. And I can't say that I've ever been one to be very suicidal, right? At the same time, I do believe that it pops through many of our heads, if not everybody's, at some point in life to say, well, what if I wasn't here? Doesn't necessarily make you suicidal, right? But what I'm getting at is this. Right? I truly believe that we're all here for a reason. Right? And it's really up to you to figure out what that reason is. What is your special purpose, so to speak? What does God or whoever you believe in have in store for you? What is the difference that you can make in other people's lives? Right? Because it's been said in one of my favorite quotes. I know Elizabeth says it all the time and butchers it, but it's you can have everything in life you want if you help enough others get what they want. Right. So I've always been a huge component of that. In fact, that phrase alone at least has driven me for over 15 to 20 years since I first heard that phrase. I never met Zig Ziglar in person, but I will tell you, I did cry when he passed away. And it was because I felt that emotional connection to that man just because of that story and then understanding that realistically you can have everything you want in life if you help enough others get what they want. It's about not being so into yourself and worried about yourself, but more so being humble servant leader. We've talked about that. Or even like Brent said, just being able there to serve, right? Serve in your full capacity, no matter what it is, whether you're cooking or doing the dishes, for Christ's sakes, many people just don't even show up. So for those of you guys that do show up, kudos to you. That's 80% of the battle. Stay in there, keep learning, keep taking notes, keep asking questions, keep learning until you get where it is that you want to get. Right. And little by little, you'll get better and better and better. You're going to see that. And as you get better and better, that's the beauty of it. You can see that growth in yourself. And then, ooh, goosebumps. Ah, then you can kiss yourself and say, wow, look at where I've come. Look at the tragedy and the bullshit and all this other crap that I've endured through my life. Regardless of what age you are watching this video. All right. So awareness, though, is the biggest key. If I could take anything out of this, use the awareness of what we're talking about and everything, have the awareness first, and then figure out, okay, well, now that I have my awareness, what can I do to fix that or solve that or attain that or get that? And then just little by little, you start moving towards that direction. And as long as you don't let your ego get in your way, you will accomplish what it is that you're looking to accomplish. Yeah, he did speak. I believe that was his quick little 5 minutes, right, Brett? Keisha was asking if you get to speak.
Yeah, that was basically what I had for you. I mean, I could say a couple other thoughts, but I just the thought of like selling something, I think it's most important to have the personal connection with the audience and make sure what you have to sell them is actually something that they want and is in their best interest. Because if you want to be in sales, I think you want to be selling with integrity, and that for me means I'm having a real connection with the people I'm selling to on a human level first. Before. and it
Absolutely,
may
I
not
agree.
lead to a sale at all, and it may lead to some other type of hopefully positive relationship that's beneficial for both of us. So that's my goal.
Yeah, I agree because I bill myself out as a solution specialist.
There you go.
I will not sell you anything just to make $1. As a matter of fact, everything in my quiver, it's because a client needed it. And I will not promote or anything to someone just because it's on sale or whatever. If it's not going to be of actual use to
Right.
that individual, I don't even bring it up. If they voice a certain type of need, I was like, well, I do have something that can help you with that. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? And because even like when I'm selling something and they have upsells, I'll be like, okay, but you don't need that for what you're working on. You know what I'm saying? So now when I do bring something to them, they are more apt to just go ahead and get it with very little explanation because at this point I've built up the credibility with them that I
Right.
would never put something in front of them unless they I honestly believe it would help them
All
get to
Dr.
where they're
Phil.
going.
You know, the beauty in all that, that's sales psychology, my friends, right? So
Mhm.
that's my topic that I absolutely love and that I've been dealing with for almost 40 years now. And I've had a lot of students that have come to me, right? And maybe, you might be watching this on the replay and say, well, Robert, I don't have that kind of experience. Like, I don't have the sales experience. I haven't knocked on thousands of doors like you have. I haven't picked up the phone and made thousands of phone calls like you have. My reminder is always this to people: you've been selling since birth. You just didn't realize it. Every time that you cried, you want a bottle, and well, guess what? You sold mama on getting you a bottle. Every time you cried because your diaper had poop in it, you sold your mom on coming and changing your diaper. So don't think that you can't do this because realistically, all it is having a communication with people. It's understanding this process, as I mentioned before, and then having the right conversations with people the right way. And if you're going and solving people's problems, then you'll get a lot less people that are going to tell you no because you're actually solving that person's problem. Right. So, absolutely fabulous, fabulous information for sure. Anybody got anything else that they want to add? Comments, questions? Oh, here's something I can add. Hi, Robert. The issue with embedding videos and emails is still not fixed. In the meantime, I suggest using the large image tool to add a thumbnail of the video, then include the URL for a link. When image is clicked, it will redirect to the video. Let me know if you need help with this.
That sucks.
Yeah, it kind of does, but yes, I just wonder. Let us know when and if that was fixed. Then you have my team mates you to utilize.
I think if
I feel
enough of
like I
us
got
put
a
in the
lot of
request,
stories. Mm,
Tell me. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Go ahead, Keisha.
no, I said I think if enough of us, I have 9 account, I have access to 9 accounts over here. Put in the same one. I can put in the same complaint. Make it seem a little more urgent.
Right. Vicky, go ahead. Please do.
I feel like that I have a lot of stories that I can share, and I am getting better at it. One of the hardest things, I just recently shared a testimonial interview regarding my health and everything that I had went through since 2009. And it was difficult to share that deeply, but I did because I felt like that it could help somebody. And I'm sure that a lot of my motivation came from being a part of these classes. Because of, I mean, you keep talking over and over again about how important it is to share your story. And so I stepped out on that limb and I did do that. And I've had good reaction from it. I just really hope that it can help. If it helps one person not have to have the same struggle, then I've done my mission. You know what I'm saying? So
Amen.
just one person. So, but I did have somebody today that kind of tried to put a damper on that. And like was like doubting my story. I mean, and I thought that was just really odd.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna just count that because I know in my head and my heart everything that I gave in that story was true. And it is my life, and nobody else has a right to judge my life.
Amen.
So I'm gonna just push past that because of I think that it is a value and it can help people, and that's why I did it. And I'm not gonna regret doing that.
Okay,
I'm
bro.
going to. Bye, Brett.
I'm listening.
But I do think I started a blog. I had a blog for a long time, but because my WHM got accidentally deleted, all my blog posts and everything went with it.
Mhm.
It's called Life is Like That. So I used to share a lot of stories on my blog in that way. Now I just got to get the confidence to get back to doing what I used to do before all the health issues. It bites at your confidence
Mhm.
when you go through everything that I went through. It takes a little, you lose. I lost my hair, I lost my teeth. It gets embarrassing, but you still have to push through it.
Amen.
That's the important thing, that you can't let anything stop you and you can't let anyone else determine what you need. You have to be your own best advocate, especially when it comes to your health. I mean, even doctors make mistakes, and I learned that lesson very well. So, I mean, I love a lot of my doctors that I had. I'm very grateful to them, but some of them made some major issues. So, I just think that I will get better and better at it as we go along, at telling the stories. Again, I just have to rebuild some of the cut chips, bring them back. I feel stronger. I feel like I'm becoming who was and more. I'm coming. I used to do a lot of live trainings and everything, and I loved it. It was one of my most favorite things to do. I love helping other people, especially people that are new to coming online.
Mhm.
But and it always meant a lot to me to be able to help those people. And then I got, chipped away at and chipped away at a little bit. So now I'm just chipping my way back. So that's what I'm doing. And I think that's important.
I absolutely love that, and I agree with you, Vicky. I will say this too, based off of what you said. I look at it like this. If somebody doesn't like the way I look, or because I'm missing a tooth, or my hair is gray, or
Hmm.
F them if they can't take a joke.
Yeah.
And do I really need that kind of person in my life? Look,
I earned my gray hairs.
look, I'll
I'm
tell
proud
you
of them.
another personal story, right? My wife and I have this conversation every now and then because from her past, she's that person to where she will poke the bear. And I asked her that, yes,
Mm.
why would you poke the bear? So I don't understand that. If you know the bear is going to get mad at you and potentially claw the crap out of you, why would you poke the bear?
Hmm.
But
Because it's fun.
you have to understand though, those behaviors, and I'm not saying anything bad about my wife. I love her 1000%. She has also been through her share of BS, and we're not going to go into those things because that's her own personal story. But it does still stem all the way back from our childhood. Okay, we have to
Mm.
understand this, especially if we want to grow into leaders that we can be. We have to understand that all that stuff that happened in the past, we had to figure out a way to maneuver it, understand it, maneuver it in such a way that we can use it as something that's positive. In fact, the first thing that comes to my mind as I'm talking about this, we were sitting there yesterday watching television, watching YouTube actually, and one of my favorite comedians come out. His name is Carlos Mencia.
Mhm.
And if you don't know Carlos Mencia, he's this Hispanic comic. He's been around for many, many years. He used to have this show, and he would say, dee, 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 not
Mhm.
making fun of retarded people or anything, but saying that people had retarded qualities. Anyway, last night's show, which I hadn't seen, he talked about how he was born and raised Catholic. And he truthfully on stage, live in front of everyone, knowing that it was going to be recorded, many people would posthumously see it, talked about how he had some problems with a priest growing up. And then he rolled into the joke about how, oh yeah, well at least I sucked something and I'm getting into heaven. So the point of that was he used, which is perfect because if you know much about comedy, it's comedy and tragedy go together, right? The reason that we even laugh at many things is because of the realness of what are said to be jokes. You know what I mean by that?
Mhm.
So I just look at it now that I have that awareness. It's like, oh, identify it. Whoa, hey, we don't want to do that. And then ask questions. Why are we doing that? Oh, okay, it stems from this. The reason I'm saying this is because it will help us understand and identify the troubles that that person that we're connecting with may have, right? You understand what I mean by that? And we
Mhm.
don't know what anybody's been through until we start connecting with that person. And when you start seeing these things and they click, you're like, oh, okay. I guess I'm saying that to, again, be aware of it, not to run from it, but identify it and potentially utilize that to help that person get better. Right? I don't know why, other than I think I've been in high belief of this for many years, and that I am that person that I have women that tend to be attracted to me as a coach, and I tend to help them get out of all that past negative bullshit that they've had because I understand women and I've never been that type of person that ever took women for granted. In fact, one of my first mentors that I always talk about is my mother. Like, had she not brought me up the way that she did and beat my ass when, before I made mistakes, like Carlos Mencia was talking about, because of that Hispanic culture that I have in my background or in my lineage, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am today. But again, going back 24 years ago, I decided to go on this path of personal development because I wanted to see where it was going to go. Like legit. Like, okay, if I can go and be on this personal development path and just always seek better and good, better, best, never let it rest till you get it better and your better best. Let's see what happens. And I'm really glad that I did. I'm really glad that I chose 18 years ago to even consider coming into network marketing as a profession. And I'm really glad that I failed back in the day so that I could learn what was necessary to have a successful online business. So with
Mhm.
that being said, I think that we can wrap it up. I believe we got quite a bit of uh, value here today. If you're watching this in the replay, give us some comments down below. Let us know how you feel. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Inside of the area there down below, under the comments, I'll show you a way how you can get in touch with myself and potentially come on here and share some of your thoughts and viewpoints and wisdom as one of our members of our Monday Mastermind.
I
Anybody got?
have one question.
Yeah, please
I
do.
see you posted that Facebook link, and he's another compensated endorser. Is there a reason that you put that there for us? I mean, you want us to just check him out or whatever? Or
Yeah, so
I didn't. Maybe I missed the analogy. I don't know. I didn't hear you mention it. I just
so
saw it.
Daniel is actually one of my students.
Cool.
Yeah. He got the compensated endorser from me. and I like it. It's I don't know. I don't want to butcher the saying, but they say that flattery is the best form what is it? Impersonation? Impersonation is the best form of flattery, something like
Mhm.
that. So I'm okay with him taking on compensated endorsement. We'll see what he does with it. But Daniel is a student of mine. He knows a little bit about crypto. That's why I put it in there for um, Lawrence to get in touch with him because he's on that same kind of path, if you will. But by all means, connect with him, say hello, tell him the Blazer sent you. Tell him you're in Monday Masterminds. How come he's not here? Give him shit.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's
Thank
done
you.
a job. He went
I
through.
just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something there. Yes, that was important.
You're good. No, he went through our boot camp and he did exceptionally well, built out his website, got his brand, and as you can see, he knows now and understands how more to brand himself. And yeah, he's doing all right.
That's good. That's great to hear.
Yeah. All they gotta do is just plug in, man. You plug in, do the work, and everything will work out. So that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. Go out there, have a kick-ass week, go kick-ass take names and all that other fun stuff. We'll see you next Monday. Toot toot. Love you.